Good morning, everybody. It's Jillian again. And, after this research that we've been doing, and we're looking behind all the different words that represent intentions and can pigeonhole and leave people stuck in a specific world until they figure out how to get out. Now we have to understand that, you know what? Apple, or even Microsoft, maybe Apple, had it correct. When someone said there's an app for that, well, that's no different than there's a hormone for that. And it's so freaking true. There's a hormone for every single thing regarding the human body and the different manifestations of the human body and why things happen. So, I was thinking I could go and try to find every single hormone out there, but that's insane amount of research that isn't even needed, because we have figured out that there are specific hormones that are going to talk about all over the internet, and those are the ones that they manipulate the most. The ones that you see that are so easy to find, like the 5 different hormones that they talk about on the internet when you Google list of all the hormones, and they're only naming 5 or 6 or maybe even 10. Those are the main ones that they manipulate to have a specific outcome. The ones that you don't know about are the ones that they don't want too much focus on, because then, and now I'm coming from a conspiracy, point of view, but maybe they don't want you to know about this and wonder about it, because this is what's very interesting. And I'm doing all this Google research, and I'm a Google scientist, okay? Yes, I'm an internet scientist, because that's the only way you're going to learn things outside of the scope of the limitations of the system. So I'm looking at list of hormones in the body, and I'm on Google. I'm not on DuckDuckGo. I'm not on Bing. I'm not on any other alternative website everybody else, all the conspiracy community is all about. No, I'm on Google. That's all the information that they put out there that encapsulates everything, okay? But when you actually put in those keywords, list of hormones in the body, is still relative to somebody's intention of wanting you to know about something. So here's the thing. So what I went through, and I'm on Google, and it has in a line all the way across where you can keep hitting the arrow going right. It has the different hormones that they want to give you information on. And they left out the one that I talk about, which is very interesting. So these are the hormones that they list out: testosterone, thyroid stimulating hormone, follicle stimulating hormone, insulin, progesterone, adrenaline, glucagon, calcitonin, what is it? Oh God, hold on. Norepinephrine, melatonin, trilodothyronine, human chorionic gonadotropin, thyroxine, you guys know about that, dopamine, leptin, gastrin, secretin, renin, endorphins, enkephalin, endothelin, orexin, adrenocortical hormone, histamine. And then I'm sure there's plenty of others that they're not mentioning. And guess what they didn't mention in this list of hormones? That's like Google, like a quick reference Google. They're missing the prostaglandin hormone. That's the pain hormone that aids in the healing process. Makes you wonder why they don't list that out. Because if that was in your face, they'd be like, well, why are we then trying to mitigate pain? Okay, by using anti-inflammatory. So then I'm like, okay, so now I did list of hormones. Those are the quick reference ones that go across the line, go across your screen. Then you have Wikipedia list of hormones. Now, I know Wikipedia isn't the most up to date all the time, but it gives you kind of a quick reference. Yet again, nothing too deep. They do reference their information, but it can be altered at any point in time. All right, so then you have amino acid derived hormones. Okay, they talk about epinephrine, melatonin, tryptophan, thyroxine. Okay, and they still talk about the same stuff. And they have, let's see, the amino acid derived hormones. They have the eicosanoid hormones. Oh, they do talk about the prostaglandin, but they don't say too much about it. You have to click on it. Let me see what they say about the prostaglandin. The prostaglandin are a group of physiological active lipid compounds having diverse hormone-like effects. But they don't say too much about pain. They talk around the pain. They don't actually talk about pain. When you actually look up prostaglandin in another reference, it is about pain and the healing. They talk nothing about pain in this Wikipedia. See, and that's where people get kind of messed up, because they're looking at all of these details that is not actually translating in what they recognize in their life. This is all jargon. When you speak jargon, this is where I get so pissed off at people that are not talking. All the different researchers on my Facebook that I've gotten rid of, all they want to do is look up stuff like this and talk about it from this point of view, and it goes over the heads of people because they're not speaking in layman's terms. They're not speaking to somebody's listening. This Wikipedia, I know it's Wikipedia, but still, they're not mentioning pain in this Wikipedia article. And people know that Wikipedia is used a lot just kind of as a quick reference. But when you don't actually match pain to the actual hormone in some of these references, people are not going to make the connections. But it's interesting that how they have it in here, but they do not mention that it actually is triggering the pain sensation, which aids in the healing process. So, hold on a second. I mean, what they say is the ability of the same prostaglandin is to stimulate a reaction in one tissue and inhibit the same reaction in another tissue, determined by the type of the receptor. I mean, it goes into such detail that the person is not going to understand really truly how that translates in their world. So it goes over the heads of people. So they don't really get it, how pain actually is part of the healing process, because it's a stimulant, and it also triggers the nerves, so you feel a certain way. And then when you go and take an anti-inflammatory, it inhibits that hormone from working. So you think you're healed, but you're not. No, you just inhibited a hormone that actually is healing you. They're not going to say it in that many words, but that's what people are looking for. So then it's up to somebody to say, hey, there is other areas, or there's other resources that do talk about it, how it actually speaks to somebody's listening and actually has them translate this stuff. Okay? So, hormones. There's a hormone for everything. Okay, so I went on that tangent about prostaglandin. And then there's leukotriene, so there's the amino acids, there's the eicosanoid hormones, what else? Peptide hormones. So when you guys go to the store and go get amino acids from Bragg, which is a brand over at the Holistic, don't get amino acids. That's a freaking hormone, guys, okay? Remember, nothing in the holistic market is on my protocol, and amino acids is definitely not on the protocol. All right. Peptides. What's in the peptides? Amylin. Oh, okay. Amylin receptors. Yeah, okay. Anti-Mullerian hormone, adiponectin, adrenocortic, whatever. So these are peptides. Okay. You can all Google this stuff, all right? I'm not going to go into all these specific details, but there's something that has the heart and the thyroid gland and the duodenum and the hypothalamus and the cerebral cortex. All these different hormones, they help with the functions of all the different systems, okay? Kidney, the enkephalin, vascular hormone. I mean, you can go to Wikipedia, you can look at this, okay? There's kidney hormones, there's anterior pituitary hormones, there's central nervous system hormones and gastrointestinal hormones, mucosa hormones, the gastric inhibitory polypeptides, stomach duodenum hormones, stomach hormones, what else? Pancreas hormones, ileum hormones, hypothalamus hormones, liver hormones, placenta hormones, anterior pituitary hormones, testes, ovary, and fetus hormones, pancreas hormones, liver hormones. Okay, so you go to your 11 different systems, you realize there's hormones for every single function of the human body. But you're only going to know about a handful of hormones because that's what they're using to then manipulate your body. And that's when they put names to it and they only focus on like the testosterone and all the different ones, the sex hormones, progesterone, the estrogen hormone, the adrenaline hormone, the oxytocin hormone, insulin hormone. Those are the ones that are used most to mess with you because you guys are messed up. Okay? But you're not going to know too much about the prostaglandin hormone. All right? So what else? The skeleton hormone, the posterior pituitary hormone, the pancreas, multiple hormones. What else? Gut, pancreas, renal tissue hormones, and here's the steroids. The testes and the ovary hormones. Okay? The adrenal gland hormones, multiple. Adrenal cortex hormones. Those are the steroids. The ovary males and females testes. So, when someone's on steroids and they have very masculine features, makes you wonder, huh? Someone's messing with somebody's hormones because they're taking stuff to mess with their hormones. What else? This is under steroids. Ovary, pancreas, adrenal cortex hormones. More hormones. Skin. Proximal tubule of kidney hormones. Skin proximal tubule of kidney hormones. Okay, and this is probably not even all of them. It may be, I don't know. But here's the thing. Remember what Apple or Microsoft or whoever, I forget. There's an app for it. There's an app for that. There's a hormone for that. Okay? So you guys got to know that every single vitamin that you take is hormone replacement therapy. Vitamin A, B, C, D, E, F, and G is manipulating one of those hormones. If you truly want to do some really extensive research, go look up what vitamin A is and what it stimulates. And then go look up the hormone that's attached to vitamin A. And then you can figure out what kind of hormone is being messed with when you're taking vitamin A, when you're taking vitamin C, when you're taking vitamin D, E, F, G, H, I, J, riboflavin, magnesium, whatever. All these different names are representative of a hormone being inhibited or being manipulated. And you wonder why there's so much diversity in our society. You wonder why there's so much diversity in our societies because there is hormone manipulation going on at every given level. So that's why you can't think that somebody is smarter than you. I mean, you could think that, but don't take it to heart that that person is better than you. There is nobody better than anybody on this earth. They just had a conglomeration of hormones that are being manipulated to have a specific outcome. When you look that there's an actual hormone for every single thing in the body, these designer babies are not revolutionary. That genius out there is not revolutionary. That autistic kid that happens to go to Harvard is not revolutionary. That's hormone manipulation. That's gene editing. That ain't anything wonderful. If anything, that poor kid is going to not have a childhood because now they're going to be pressured into doing all these things for adults at age 5 and 6. That's not a good thing. But hey, what are you going to do? Everybody messes with their hormones in our society. Okay, you're messing with your own hormones. You don't even know it. When you're taking all the pills, powder supplements, and detoxes, and prescription drugs, and over-the-counter drugs, and everything in the holistic allopathic market for anti-inflammatory because you're in pain, you're messing with your hormones, and guess what the outcome is? It's cancer, disease, and chronic illness, rapid aging, and then eventual death. Period, point blank. So this is so true. There is an app for that. Well, there's a hormone for that. And so, my dreams are my hormones letting me know and confirming my conscious state. It's not God, which is like some higher power or no, it's your hormones that are talking to you from their internal whatever is going on, okay? This is why I have to start connecting all of the dots when it comes to religion and science because they're not that different. So with the body, mind, and spirit, you have the body, you have the mind, and the spirit is everything. See, the spirit is a conglomeration of the body and mind, but they have it separate because that's how they make money off of the body, the mind, and the spirit. Do you see how the markets are being controlled because you have a false sense of separation, like they're not at all conjoined? Everything is connected. You have to realize that. Everything is connected. Everything. And there is a hormone for every single thing. And whatever happens in your external environment and your internal environment is based upon what elements are impacting what hormone to have a very specific outcome. So if you're circulating the same bullshit of conspiracy theory, guess what? That's a hormone out of whack. You have now an imbalance. Yesterday, I had to get rid of somebody who was still playing in the, oh yeah, the treasury accounts and we're a slave and what else? You know, I got to go get my birth certificate authenticated so I can now be a free person. And I'm like, okay, I've been down that road. I played that treasury account, social security number bullshit. I played it. Didn't get me anywhere. That's the conspiracy. That's when someone is still not buying into the fact that they have ultimate control. They're not a slave. You're only a slave to ignorance. When you're not ignorant anymore, you're not a slave because now you have complete control. No, when you're buying into all the conspiracies all over the internet, that's an imbalance because now you're listening to hearsay. That's why I go to the law when it comes to hearsay, because hearsay is somebody just saying somebody creating a story and somebody believing it. Nobody's actually proving it. They're just listening to it, and then they're not looking at what the intention is behind it. It's another fucking scam. But I fell for it too because I was listening to somebody else who was doing it, and I was following groups that were doing it. And when you follow somebody that isn't giving you the real proof, it's all the hearsay, then guess what? You're just as guilty as them at being imbalanced. Okay? That's how we see so much stuff like go viral, because imbalance begets imbalance. It's contagious. Imbalance and balance is contagious. But when you're trying to be balanced, it's not as easy sell as an imbalance because hormones are involved, and hormones are addicting. And so you got to understand that everything in this world is based upon what kind of feeling it gives you. And some people feel great when they think they won over the government. No, the government isn't there to hurt you. If you think the government's there to hurt you, then you are severely imbalanced. They're there for a reason. They're trying to keep everybody level so we can all go to work and feed our kids and make money because we need to, because guess what? This infrastructure that we have doesn't run itself. It doesn't run for free. Somebody has to get paid to keep the roads and the garbage men paid. Somebody has to make the money. Somebody's got to go and make sure that your internet is online. It isn't done for free. We think that things just happen out of nowhere, like nobody is doing anything. Bullshit. Some centralized force is making sure that all the different parts are moving, no different than your body. If you don't have a good centralized force to keep things together, guess what? You fall apart and you die. So you are the one that controls your body and understanding how everything works. And if you don't understand how everything works, guess what? You see chaos. So if you don't have a good centralized government to keep the control over your community so you can go on the internet and research stuff, then guess what? That community dies. That community dies. So now we have to realize that there is some kind of credibility to having some centralized government somewhere, which means that now it's time to stop chasing after those pleasure centers that you have not earned. Because for right now, our society is about, oh yeah, give me all the pleasures, give me everything. And I don't want to work for it. I don't want to earn it. I just want it given to me. Give me the quick relief. Give me, the pleasure. Give me the instant gratification. Give me. But nobody wants to earn it. Nobody does. And then guess what? When you get shit for free or you get the shortcuts, Guess who you didn't have to pay? Guess who when you pay the piper? When you die. And that's usually pretty not too far from the time that you're getting your instant gratification, because look at our society. We're all about give me this, give me the shortcuts, give me this, and then guess what? You're not going to be around for longer than maybe 50, 60, 70, maybe 80 years. You're lucky if you live to be 100. You're lucky. And even then, that's not even guaranteed. That's not even really a milestone. People say that they're lucky they live to be 80. That's a pretty sad state of affairs. Okay? So now it's finally time to earn your pleasure centers. I earned this cup of coffee. The people in the holistic community are going to be like, oh my God, the mycotoxins, this will tax your adrenals. No, I'm sorry, but I have actually gotten my system so profoundly on point that probably a couple hours after I eat something, it is right through me, out the toilet, but not like diarrhea. It processes it very quickly. I can eat a meal. I can eat breakfast. Like I can eat breakfast right now. And this afternoon, I'll be pooping. And then so basically, I'm pooping twice a day if I'm eating twice a day. That's how on point my system is. It is able to then process everything, distribute the nutrients to all the prospective hormones, okay, and then have an outcome of amazing health. I wake up the next day, everything is great, everything is wonderful. I'm not harboring shit in my body. I'm not sustaining mutations. I'm not off point. I am on point all the time. Yes, Tiffany Lee Krim, Java. You know, so I earned that cup of coffee because I went through the pain. I went through the process of healing. I went from way behind the 8 ball, completely like imbalanced, full of crazy ass hormonal fluctuations, to then giving up a lot of stuff and going through the fire. And you guys have seen it. I mean, my God, it's all over the internet. Then I got to the other side to where the pendulum swung that other way. And then finally, I earned my place in the middle. Some of you trying to go play balance and you haven't earned your place in the middle because you haven't even took care of the mutations and all that. You've never given up something for a certain amount of time to earn that place in the middle. But hey, if you want to have the shortcuts right off the bat, you want to have all the entitlements right off the bat, then guess what? You will pay the piper not too soon, because guess what? They're ramping up out there in the atmosphere. The chemtrails, the 5G, the pollution, and if you're already at an imbalance and mutated, guess what? You're going to fall short and your life is going to be cut short. Mutations are so prevalent because we live in a society where stuff fluctuates all the time, because we're in an advanced society. You can't control the environment. But if the environment is so bad, then that's why we have the EPA to say, hey, we're not trying to decimate the population here. Let's put in a moratorium on these parts per million and lower the parts per million, so that way we don't completely eradicate the whole community. And that's what they're there for, to figure out what the community can handle without actually dying. But then, yeah, they go do the test to see, okay, how much can the human adapt to without dying like tomorrow? Yeah, they may die in 20 years relative to the mutations, and they've already done tests on subjects in the area. Why do you think some people in some areas look more mutated than other people in other areas? First of all, lack of resources they have access to, so you're going to see them mutate over time. Other areas, yeah, they get facials and advanced, medical treatments, so they're able to kind of have a stay of execution, but they're really not out of the woods. They just happen to prolong their life just a few more years than the other guy who didn't have access to resources. That's the only difference, is the amount of money someone has access to prolong their life for maybe 10 or 20 years, if that. Okay, so you guys that aren't doing J-Juice, you're going to be subject and reactive to your surroundings, and you will have zero control. And then guess what? You think you're a slave. That's the slave mentality, is when someone thinks they're a slave. Oh, I'm going to go and go do something with my birth certificate. You realize when I went and had the same mentality, I sent away and authenticated my birth certificate, my marriage certificate, my driver's license. I sent it off to John Husted, the Secretary of State of Ohio, and then sent it off to Rex Tillerson, the Department of the State. Spent like, $15 or whatever, got back the certification, and what do I do with it? Nothing. And then I did that thing with the passport where you fill out the passport in a certain way, where you say your parents are an American citizen and you live in a rural area. You don't want to give your address because I follow something on the internet. And then guess what? They ignored everything that I said on my application and still gave me the passport. And it looked no different than the passport that I did like 10 years ago. Zero difference. You think you can be a diplomat in a society here in America? Do you think you're going to have diplomatic status that you can just run red lights and run speed and say, oh yeah, I'm a sovereign citizen? Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. Get off that anti-government platform. It ain't serving you. And it's not going to help you when you're in trouble and you're in hot water with the law and you're like, hey, I'm not subject to these laws. Bullshit. You'll be thrown in jail for being mentally ill. So yeah, if you're stuck in that, you have no reason to be on my Facebook. Zero, none, imbalance. You're not doing enough J juice. You're getting stuck in all the conspiracy. You're getting stuck in the hormones. I was there. I'm done. Now it's understanding the laws, and that means the laws of your body and the laws of your community and understanding why they exist to begin with. Do you realize that even Facebook and the internet is a programming unto itself, and where you put your energy is what's going to program the shit out of you. So you see how people are programmed. Just look at their Facebook page. You see the programming involved. You see all the different programming. It's a trip once you finally can step outside of the matrix and realize all the different programs. How you see all the different programs. You know, it's like going surfing through the channels on TV. All the like PBS, ABC, CBS, you know, the Travel Channel. What else? The Cooking Channel, the Real Housewives. That's my programming, but I'm not really programming. I just enjoy watching that bullshit. You know, but all the different channels on TV are no different than the channels on Facebook and the channels on the internet. When you're going through your YouTube and you're always going to a specific channel, that's a programming. But it's the type of programming is what's going to be beneficial. If you go and look at a bunch of law stuff and you're trying to understand the law, then you'll program yourself to understand the intent behind, you know, all the different actions that these prosecutors and these defense attorneys do. You'll start and programming your mind in a different way. So it's what you focus on is what you're going to program yourself. And it's like downloading information, like going to a class. When you're downloading or uploading information into your brain, so then you can apply it in the appropriate parts of your life. So some of you are programmed by the conspiracy world and it ain't serving you. If anything, it's putting you way behind the 8 ball and you're stuck. Others of you are going to school or working somewhere, and so you're programming yourself in a different way. Others of you are doing Jilly Juice and programming yourself to deprogram from everything that's been messing with you. Okay? So, I mean, this is huge. Hormones. There's a hormone for every single thing, and every single time you go and you focus on something that gives you a rush of a good feeling, of an amazing feeling. That's an addiction. So now you got to figure out: are you utilizing your hormones for good, or are you utilizing your hormones for evil, for in an imbalance? I get a rush off going on Facebook Live. I get a rush. I love it. I never would have said that I would have done this 10, 15 years ago because I was so afraid of public speaking, so afraid of getting on film and talking and looking at myself, so afraid of all of that. Like I didn't even like pictures being taken of me, and I would always look kind of away and always make a weird face because I never liked what I looked like on camera or even on this type of thing. And so over the last 2 years, since I've been dying to get this information out, and I said, okay, I'm going to just face my fears, I finally figured out how to work Facebook Live, how to work the camera, and be okay with me making mistakes and being real and not worrying about how I look and what people say, because guess what? People say a bunch of stuff. What can you do? And so I get a rush from giving you guys some amazing information. That's how I'm utilizing my hormones for good. When someone goes and plays in the conspiracy world and hates everybody and hates everything and thinks the government's after them and playing the mental imbalance game, that's using your hormones against yourself because you're doing yourself a disservice. Where is your return on your investment? Where is it? The reason why I do, where's my return on this investment? Hey, it's not about selling books, because people are going to buy my books or not. They can look at my news feed. They can look at my stuff that I'm saying, and there's the recipes on there. I tell you about the healing symptoms. You don't have to buy the book to do the protocol, but this is opening up eyes, for one, and number two, it helps me reinforce my own information so I can find a way to say it better to all the different listenings that are out there. Not just the people who are doing Jilly Juice, just catering to them. No, now I'm trying to speak to the Catholic community, to the conspiracy community, to the Jewish community, to the Yah community, the Jehovah community, to the mainstreamers, to the Buddhist community, to the holistic community. I'm trying to speak to so many different listenings and come from their perspective in some way to where they get this, that this isn't just for only a certain type of people, the Jilly Juice. Jilly Juice is for every single human and animal that you care about. I'm not going to be giving Jilly Juice to the squirrels in my backyard. They have a cycle of life, and that's fine. I don't have to control the squirrel population in my world. But I care about my dog. I care about my husband. I care about the people on my Facebook that care about me. And I care about where humanity is going to go in the future, because it ain't going to go anywhere good if we're still cycling in the same bullshit, same conspiracies, the same generational, oh yeah, the end of the world. No, there is no progress in that type of mentality. So I have been deleting some people off my Facebook. I mean, and I know Kevin's like, well, you should just ignore them and delete the comments. Oh no, there is no ignoring somebody that wants to impose their view on me. There is no just deleting comments, because just deleting comments, they're just only going to put another comment on there, and then I have to go and delete it again, and that's too much work. I would rather just delete the person. If they get it, great. If they don't, then they never really were to begin with. They never really were on board to begin with. Really, they say they are. People say stuff, but their actions say different. I've learned that people pay lip service to things that they like kind of temporarily because it's trendy, but really they have another agenda going on. But they won't readily say it. But they do have another agenda, and then they're trying to negotiate in a very sly way by saying, okay, well, I'll support you and give you all my love, but in turn, you can't silence my voice when it comes to this area that we may not agree with. I see that happen all the time, where somebody is negotiating with me without asking me to negotiate. Okay? Hi, Kevin. Yeah, Kevin, you know I love you. But yeah, I mean, I have a lot of people that do try to negotiate with me without being upfront with the negotiations. Okay? They want to play polite. They want to say, oh, yes, I think you're amazing. Jilly Juice is a miracle. But hey, however, I have this platform that I want to put out there, and I want you to give me a voice. And then I've done that for a minute, and then I realize what's going on. I'm like, okay, done. Because eventually their insistence on debating becomes even more profound and even more in my face, and then I can't ignore it. Then I realize what seriously is going on. Okay? And so that's why I have been really on point with my blocking. Now, hey, it's whatever. People can say I'm being narcissistic, but I don't care. I don't want to dilute the information, because you have to understand balance. Okay? So someone tried to bring in research to say that they can eradicate the antibodies that are causing inflammation. And here's the thing. It's all about balance. You can't eradicate pathogens in our society, because what are pathogens? Those are elements that may work against the body, but they're also there for good too, because you have an elemental composition of the human body. It's balance. The first 9 elements are the positive elements, or the first however many elements are positive elements. And then your last however many elements are trace minerals. Those are negative elements. Those are heavy metals. They're uranium, mercury, barium, strontium. Okay, so there's a bunch of heavy metals too that's part of the balance of the body. You have a composition of positive and negative elements in your body, but it's a balancing game. You can't consciously try to balance out all your positive and negative elements. How do you balance everything out without consciously thinking about how much you need here and there? You take in strategic nutrition. Okay, it's strategic nutrition that then distributes the nutrients that then elicit and make the hormones work the way they're supposed to. Okay? So you're going to have negative forces out there. You're going to have positive forces out there. You can't live in a bubble. There's no freaking way to live in a bubble, but you control your insides with the right elements to control how those negative forces interact with your body. You have a digestive system that actually secretes and eliminates the excess negative elements. So that way you're not harboring extra heavy metals or extra things that don't belong, like parasites, like foreign objects, okay? So when someone's always come from prevention, what are you preventing? You can't prevent healing. People try to prevent healing because they're trying to stop the pain. You can't prevent the healing, no matter how much. No matter how much. No matter how much you try to stop the pain, you can't stop the pain. You can do it for temporary. You really can do it for temporary, but you can't do it on a long-term basis because guess what? The pain will then shapeshift into another disease that's going to cause you pain. You know why? Because you're taking a drug or an opioid or an anti-inflammatory to stop this pain. Well, yeah, it may temporarily do that, which inhibit the prostaglandin hormone that elicits pain and healing. And then another part of your body is then going to get affected by that prostaglandin inhibition. And so now you just created another situation and you compounded the issue. Okay? And so that's why you don't prevent pain or you don't prevent healing, and you can't prevent pathogens. You can't. You can't prevent pathogens. They're always going to be around you. As long as you're not in boiling water, literally, as long as you're not in a gas chamber or in a car, in a garage with the windows rolled up, in the garage with the engine running, you're not going to have carbon monoxide poisoning. Guess what? When you run your car outside, you're not going to get carbon monoxide poisoning. Why is it? Because you have air as that dilution force. When you drink J juice and it has 1 tablespoon of salt to every 2 cups of water to 1 or 2 cups of cabbage or kale, and you drink it, yeah, it tastes very salty, but guess what? That's the actual force that's going to energize everything. And then guess what? You get thirsty. And then you drink water. And then guess what? You get waterfalls. And it's pushing and energizing your digestive system to push out the foreign objects. And it's also absorbing the nutrients. That's a very strategic way to get in nutrients. Because right now, those of you who are just eating a raw food diet but not doing J juice, you're trying to get access to those nutrients that are in the cabbage and kale or whatever else that you're eating. And your body isn't breaking it down because it's mutated. So how are you going to get access to vitamins and nutrition and to all the things that you need if you can't even break it down because you're on a mutated body? So guess what? Jelly juice is no different than mother's milk, but mother's milk has antibodies in it. Jelly juice doesn't. That's the difference. Jelly juice has 0 antibodies. It's a probiotic, but probiotic with the right pairing, with the right elements, with the right vegetable, with the right salt, with water. When you get mother's milk, you get now all of the mother's mutations, the antibodies, the natural immunity. And people think, oh yeah, mother's milk is so much healthier than jelly juice. Bullshit. There's no antibodies in jelly juice. There is so many antibodies in mother's milk because that mother, you don't know if this mother's 100% well or not. But if she is having a baby, she has mutations. Remember, fertility comes from mutations. So mother's milk is not pure. The very fact that you are fertile says that you have mutations. The very fact that you are fertile, which means that your mother's milk is not as pure as you think because you are mutated and you're passing the family history of mutations, the natural immunity, on to your child. And then when you take on somebody else's mother's milk from a donor milk type of service, you're taking on somebody else's antibodies and family history. And guess what? Mutations happen. As soon as you get those antibodies, the body will go into an upset of homeostasis because it's antigen. When you're getting natural immunity, it's antigen. And then it'll turn into an antibody. See, antibodies are antigen. Okay? So when you're taking on somebody else's antibody, it's an antigen to you until it turns into an antibody. That's what is being failed to be understood when it comes to jelly juice versus mother's milk. Jelly juice is a lot more nutritious, and it is recommended for babies, but you have to know how to administer it. And that's something that you have to talk to your doctor or somebody else to understand how to administer. But you just dilute it for a baby. But you don't need to go to a doctor. But if you feel you don't know what you're doing, then go talk to your doctor or a nutritionist to ask how to administer fermented cabbage to your baby. Okay? So if you don't know what you're doing, don't do it. If you want to know what you're doing, go talk to a professional that can help you out. And if they don't recommend J juice, then you know what? Listen. If you want to listen to authority, then listen to whatever they say. I'm giving you some seeds of information so you understand the difference between mother's milk and J juice. And then, hey, if you want to find a way to see what other mothers have done in my discussion forum, feel free. But I will never begin to tell somebody how to administer it to their babies. If they know how to do it, then great, do it. Don't worry about it. If you don't, then don't do it. If you want to learn, go ask your doctor or go to my discussion forum. It's up to you. But there are 0 antibodies in J juice. It's all probiotic. Okay? So you can't get away from pathogens. There's no freaking way. And people who play the I'm going to be in preventative maintenance, prevention, there is no prevention. When you get exposed to antigen, it will turn into an antibody and it will cause a mutation. Now, if that mutation is left unchecked, yes, there's the disease. Every single time you walk through a community, you are being bombarded by pathogens and antigen and everything under the sun that could potentially be a disease if left unchecked. But if you are proactive, which is J juice is proactivity, you're never ever going to see, the disease will never ever going to see the light of day. But that's why I'm saying with the whole thing with the vaccines. I never thought I would have said, hey, go get a vaccine. The only reason why you'd ever get a vaccine or a homeoprophylaxis or you go put your kid in a measles parties is to satisfy the requirements of the government. That's it. Not to be healthy, okay? You're not taking vaccines or homeoprophylaxis or putting your kid in a measles party to be healthy. No, it's strictly to satisfy government requirements, and that's it. So what do you do when you have to go and satisfy government requirements? You do what they ask you to do in whatever form that they say. Go get a titer test to see where you're at, to see what then the next step you have to do. And then make your choice, whatever it is. Get the titer test or not get the titer test after. So you get the titer test before to see where you're at. Then you go do whatever you got to do, homeoprophylaxis. If the government says that that's okay, that homeoprophylaxis prescription is enough to say that you are vaccinated, then great. And then go do the J juice and dilute the antibodies. Because the amount of antibodies, okay, is the difference. If you have too little antibodies and you're sick and you have a disease, then yeah, there's that HIV thing where you have human immunodeficiency syndrome, where you're not creating enough natural killer cells to go after the pathogens and then your body is being destroyed. Too many antibodies is aging and also triggering autoimmunity and other types of diseases. Do you see how that works? It's not about getting rid of antibodies or having too many antibodies. It's about the balance of the antibodies in your body, the balance of the cancer. Okay, so you have yeast, which when it gets overfed turns into candida/cancer. So you have to find a way to then balance out your yeast so it doesn't become overabundant. Same thing with hormones. When you have hormone imbalances, it's because you're not taking in the nutrition in the right way. You're taking in pills, powder, supplements, and detoxes that elicit hormone responses from the different hormones in your body. Because all of those different pills, powder, supplements, and detoxes and anti-inflammatories will trigger specific hormones based upon the programming of that specific chemical that elicits specific hormone. When someone takes Viagra, guess what? It's not helping all of your hormones. It's helping only your testicle, whatever, penis hormone. Okay? It's a very directed hormone when you're taking Viagra. And when you're taking Viagra too much, guess what? It causes an imbalance and it causes eventual death. When you have a hormonal imbalance, that does equal death. When you have balanced hormones and a balanced antibodies and balanced yeast, and you understand how the environment relates to your body, and then what you eat, what you drink, and understanding balance, and understanding what everything is made up of in your food supply, guess what? You just unlocked the key to indefinite life, because now you understand how everything works. And that's the key to this. It's not getting caught up in the conspiracy bullshit. It's not getting caught up in the anti-government bullshit. It's not getting caught up in anything that's too extreme. It's understanding balance in your body, in your world, in your life, and in the universe. But you see the imbalances in your friends and family who are still playing those games. Once you finally step outside of the matrix, you will see all the different programs out there. And either you're going to partake in a program that isn't serving you or anybody else, and then that's your right, but then you can't complain when the outcome is that you're dying because you've been paying attention to chemtrails. Yesterday, I know 2 chemtrail leaders that are suffering from some kind of disease. I'm not going to say their names, I don't want to call them out, but there's 2. One already went on the internet yesterday and said that they're suffering from a disease and they need help from their community. Well, maybe it's time now to get off the chemtrail activism and pay attention to your body. The chemtrails aren't killing you, you're killing you. But I would never say that to them, because they would just say, oh, you're whatever. I would never call them out like that. They know I'm around. Whether or not they actually take my advice, that's up to them. A lot of them, actually most of them, are in the holistic community, because the holistic world has taken the chemtrails and fed them into the holistic world. There's a reason why the chemtrail activists exist. There's a reason why the anti-vax world exists. The holistic world, the marketing is completely like wow, bar none, so effective. I'm telling you, marketing is, it's genius. I wish I would have thought of that, man, because how much money the holistic world is making. But that's how the world is run by. It's run by money. So you get to look at, what Kevin said earlier about the books and all the things, money is the deciding factor on how it is they roll out stuff and how they position information and how they make up vocabulary words to then explain something, so that way you then are directed to then think a certain way. When I look at somebody on my Facebook, one of my friends who's doing the J juice, but they talk about the antibiotics in Big Pharma. They're like, oh, stay away. They actually have an article about how this antibiotic, like Cipro or something else, does this, and this to the body. It hurts the body in some way. And that's all they just put the article there. I'm like, so what are you now doing? What kind of thought process are you guiding, my dear lady? Because when someone looks at an article and sees that Cipro, a pharmaceutical drug, is causing all these side effects, what's the natural reaction from your audience? Oh, I need to go natural. I need to go find a natural antibiotic like colloidal silver, like an anti-inflammatory like turmeric and ginger and honey and all of this. And so that's what you're doing when you're putting out articles that are very specific in their claims and the charges or whatever. Okay, so instead of targeting just the pharmaceuticals, just say anything that's been labeled an anti-inflammatory or an antibiotic, natural or synthetic, does block the prostaglandin hormone. Get away from the holistic allopathic market and just do J juice. Because when you demonize the pharmaceutical companies, then you give license and promote the holistic world. That's what you're doing. When you actually demonize and call out both the holistic and the allopathic world, what else do you have left? Oh yeah, you have J juice. Because there is nothing in the holistic allopathic world truly by itself that is going to help humanity. There is nothing. Jelly juice is the only way. It really is. You have nothing else. Because even in the fermentation community, they're not requiring anybody to drink large amounts. You know why? Because pain's involved. And the fermentation community hasn't really dealt with the whole hormone and pain. They haven't. They don't want to. They don't want the lawsuits. They don't want the backlash, the controversy, or anything. You really have to understand J juice at the deepest level. And hormones. There's an app for that. There's a hormone for everything. And I just scratched the surface. So, yeah. Anyways, yeah, I wanted to say it because I'm thinking like, I wish there was a list. I'm wondering if there's in some medical dictionary where they have the list of every single hormone. Now, I'm sure Wikipedia may have a handful of them. I don't think they have all of them. I don't, but then, you look at the 11 different systems, or 12. If you look at 11 different systems, male and female, right? So male is 11 different systems, female is 11 different systems, 12 altogether if you put them two together. There's hormones for every single system. Okay? There's hormones for every single system, which means that every single thing that you're doing is going to elicit a response, whether it's positive or negative relative to your body, to those hormones specifically. And the outcome is, look at you. Look at your friends. Look at the mental illness. Look at the obesity. Look at the malnutrition. People are too skinny. People are, the skin's hanging off their body. They're missing organs. They're taking thyroid medication because they're missing organs. They could actually regrow that organ and get that hormone back, but they don't understand that. They're taking synthetic hormones, a replacement. Okay? You're seeing people that are harboring foreign objects, implants in their body. Guess what? That does cause disease, whether it's lymphoma or something else. I mean, the diversity in our society is because of the hormone manipulation. Seriously, the diversity in our society is based upon hormone manipulation. And some people will go to the extreme, like in Hollywood, and really manipulate their hormones and really are tied in with other people that do the same thing. And then they go and do their thing on TV. And that's how they make money. Just look at the Real Housewives, the reality shows. They purposely manipulate these people's hormones, trigger them into acting like buffoons, but it's entertainment. But then you can also take your hormones and do good, like with Juan Martinez. I'm telling you, man, if you guys watch the Jodi Arias, the 52 days or 52 days plus of that whole courtroom process, he is a man that used his hormones for good. I'll tell you what, he used his hormones for good. And it's fascinating to watch somebody that actually has all their hormones. Well, he's not, I don't say he's well balanced because he's aging, but he understands the law and he's a very good prosecutor. But you get somebody that's very well balanced in the area of the law. And he's well balanced enough to be able to do his job. Because, yeah, remember, we can manipulate our hormones to then elicit a specific outcome, and that could be being a very good professional in your job, okay? But imagine if we had very well-balanced people doing their job, that where it's so good against someone that's imbalanced, that should be the entertainment, is a very well-balanced person doing their job and speaking and doing, whatever it is, against someone that's very imbalanced and mutated. But right now we're giving all the fame to the mutated people, all the recognition to the mutated people, and ignoring the well-balanced people. We don't even know if they exist. There's a few probably out there that exist, but there's no money in well-balancedness unless you're up against somebody that's imbalanced. And then it's entertainment. Okay? So, maybe we do need imbalanced people to then people can see the difference. But once you understand, once you actually acknowledge that there's a difference between a balanced person and an imbalanced person, and then go to the extreme like J-Juice all the way to someone that's like a psychopathic, I guess you got to have the yin and the yang, I guess. I don't think we need to have like very mutated people, but I guess it is showing us what not to do, I guess. But that's left for, the future. What would humanity look like when they're actually very well balanced, 100% to the T, living indefinitely? Well, we can still dream, and no harm in dreaming. Okay? So anyways, yeah. So hormones, there is a hormone for every single situation and every single thing. And everything that you do out there in the world is based upon your hormones. What you do, what you don't do, what you avoid, what you confront, your reactions, your non-reaction, your boundaries, and your perspective. It all has to do with hormones and programming. So, when I kind of knew, actually, I knew this innately when I was studying for the insurance test, because I knew if you can program someone to think that they're going to die, that eventually they're going to die, then I can go and program myself to learn the insurance manuals to then pass the test. So guess what I did? I completely programmed myself for 1 week, which is studying for 1 week. And I would go through, and this is back, actually, I did it twice. I did it for here in Ohio, and I did it in California. So I've been licensed in Ohio for both property and casualty and life and health. And I was licensed in California in property, casualty, and life and health. Okay? So that's two different, it's not that different as far as insurance, but it's two different regulations in two different states. But when I was in California, I programmed myself for 1 week, a week before the test, and it was short-term memory programming. I would completely immerse myself in the subject matter of the insurance, look at all the questions and look at the answers and memorize all the questions and the answers, and then memorize what would, the whole, understanding the concepts behind the questions and the answers, and study those instead of trying to read the whole insurance regulation book, which is like so dry, and who does that, right? Nobody does that. So you go and look at all the questions. There's so many different types of questions when you get a study guide that would have all the same questions, but in different ways, and with the double negatives too. And I would study, and I would memorize, and I would study and memorize, and it would just be memorization for both the life and health and the property and casualty. And then I would be like, it's just like playing craps when you're in the zone. I don't want anybody to mess with me when I'm playing craps. I don't gamble that much anymore. But then I would schedule my test a week after that study period. I would schedule that test, and that would be so like nothing. I would just be eating and sleeping and dreaming insurance. And then I would go and I would be in that zone, and I'd pass the test. I mean, I barely passed it because it wasn't like I was taking classes and internalizing it and discussing it and doing the back and forth with the teacher. No, I was just straight up memorizing. That is programming your brain, either short term, or you go take a class and you do the back and forth and you study and whatever. And that's the long term of programming your brain. But you can short term program your brain, or you can do a long term programming. It all depends upon what you're trying to accomplish and why. And I did the same thing here too in Ohio. When I took that test, the life and health, as well as the property and casualty first, and then took the life and health second. I was doing the same thing. I found, an online class, and I didn't do any kind of classroom thing, and I just took all of their tests, and I just straight up memorized, and I retake the test, and then their little sample tests until I got 100% of every single one of them, and then I would learn the concepts behind the different questions and answers, and that was how I short-term program my brain to understand the insurance laws here in Ohio. And I forgot all of them because I wasn't trying to program myself on a longer term basis. There was an intention behind what I was doing. It's called cramming if you guys have done college. Okay, so you can program yourself in so many different ways. People don't even know that they're programming themselves when they're playing with the conspiracy world. They're reprogramming their brain. So now it's time to program yourself in a way that does good for you and does good for humanity and your friends and your family, so we can all live and cohabitate in this society peacefully. But you got to understand what it is that you're doing. If you are not conscious of your programming yourself, then yeah, you're going to react and think that, oh yeah, the world's out to get me. No, you programmed yourself that the world is out to get you. You realize that every single thing, that your perspective is you programmed yourself to think a certain way. And then you have the police out there that wants to make sure the people that have programmed themselves in a very horrible way, that they don't overstep the boundaries. Okay? That's the thing. Why we have government is because we have people who program themselves in a very horrific way, and we can't have those people in our society running rampant. There has to be somebody, a balancing force. So the police and our government are a balancing force against a population that doesn't know what they're doing. Some do and some don't. The ones that do, you don't hear anything about them. You don't see them breaking the law. They're not in any kind of court battle. And the ones that are programming themselves in a bad way, the ones that are programming themselves in a bad way, they're always in court, always dealing with legal issues, always in some kind of hot water. And that's why you have government, to deal with those that don't know how to program their body in the right way, or their mind. And the people that are dying out there of cancer, disease, and chronic illness, and aging, and taking HRTs and all that stuff, they've programmed their body in a specific way where the end result is death. And they've programmed themselves to accept death. Okay, that's their choice until they want to deprogram from that. But that means that they have to actually get out of their current programming and go read something else and understand something else, and then reprogram their mind and their body. But that's everybody's choice, yet again. If you're not happy with where you are, then you'll change. Reprogram yourself. So hormones definitely do get programmed. Okay. So anyways, that's good, Kevin. I can't imagine you have to go and do that for a driver's license theory exam. What? Driver's license theory? Jeez. The theory of driving. Stay between the mustard and the mayo, Kevin. They don't have that. You know what the mustard and the mayo is? Stay between the yellow and the white lines. That's a trucker programming for, driving. Stay between the mayo and the mustard. And watch out for the hen house, or not the hen house. What do you call it? The cuckoo house. Oh, I forget. Whatever they call that. Those checkpoints. All right. Well, you guys, hopefully you understand where I'm coming from. This is a really good transmission. I'll put this on YouTube, of course. All right. You guys have a good day. Thank you so much. I actually think I look really good today. I feel good too. And just do Jilly Juice. All right. I know Kevin's working hard on it too. Believe me, I know he's working hard on it. He's going to be a perfectionist on this. Okay. Okay. Haha. Well, here, actually, you need to know about other countries and people driving on the road. That's probably true. That's probably true. All right. Well, go to jillyjuice.com, JILLYJUICE.com. Send us a receipt when you get the book. We'll send you a login and password. You can ask all your questions in the discussion forum. If you have questions about how the digestive process works with Jilly Juice, how enzymes work with Jilly Juice, how anything works with Jilly Juice, take the time, get the book and read it first, and then ask the questions in the discussion forum. I don't have any type of question and answer on Facebook, because Facebook is really just a place for me to just give you my perspective on the whole, the bigger picture. And then the finer details you guys will get through the discussion forum and my book. Okay, so there's a method to my madness. Kevin is the finer details, because he's going to go over the finer details of this stuff. I do big picture, and I don't have anybody else give me their finer details too much, because they're not always coming from my perspective. So that's why I don't really like somebody doing their research and trying to promote it on my Facebook. Okay? So this is why I only allow Kevin to do the finer details and allow him to post it, because other people have different theses that actually conflict with mine. That's why I don't allow too much dissension or anyone trying to refute my information, because I'm not trying to go there. Okay? And so Kevin and I had worked very hard to be on the same page. It takes a lot to work with somebody, to work as a team, okay? Because somebody may have a different intention and a different thesis than mine, and I won't know it until I actually see what it is they're saying. If they're not speaking in layman's terms, if they're speaking in all this jargony bullshit, then I know they're hiding something. But Kevin brings it out to the open and understands how it is that I communicate, so that way you guys can understand, so you're not lost in jargon and huge words that you have to go and look up. That's what I don't appreciate, is when someone hides behind jargon. Speak plain, speak in layman's terms so everybody understands. And Kevin's good at that, and I am too. That's why I'm working with Kevin. Okay? All right. You guys have a good one. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. And just go to jillyjuice.com, get the book, read it, and then talk about it. All right. Bye.